What if Revan awakened and joined the CIS? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Dooku watches as the last of his ships from Geonosis evacuate. There are thousands of them, containing millions of battle droids, all of which will play their part in the coming war. Although the Jedi and their clone army did their best to halt their advance, many of his ships were able to escape. He's about to order his ship to join the rest of his fleet when he receives a signal of an approaching ship. At first, he thinks it's a stray Republic ship trying to pursue them, but none of his droids recognize the markings. He orders the ship to be captured. As it is brought to the hangar, Dooku watches the boarding ramp drop down and a pair of figures step out. The first is a droid with a pair of blasters pointed at the security team.
Command, drop your weapon, inferior droids.
But the second is the one who catches Dooku's attention, a hooded figure wearing blood-red Mandalorian armor. The Count feels a chill run down his spine as he senses the overwhelming power radiating from this warrior. He nods his head respectfully at him.
Master Revan, I was not expecting you. And I wasn't expecting to be here. But then this war began, and I wished to discuss some things with you. Now, might we have some refreshments and talk like civilized people? Of course. Right this way.
Dooku guides Revan to the bridge, where a table is laid out for some tea. HK-47 remains in the hangar with the guards. As Revan stirs his tea, he chuckles to himself.
I see the Jedi Order has not changed much in the last few years. No, but the Republic has. Believe it or not, it has become more corrupt and more decadent. So much that I believe it can no longer be saved. That I believe. Although, is it truly you who believes it, and not your master?
Dooku opens his mouth to protest, but Revan chuckles and takes another sip of his drink.
Oh, come now. You think your performance fools me? I know there is someone else in charge. Someone in the Senate. So, you figured it out. Now, tell me why you came here. Have you come to stop me? Or join me? I've come to offer my assistance. You have an army and your allies, but it occurs to me that you do not have a general. As I said before, I know the foolishness of the Jedi Order more than anyone else. Let me help you, and perhaps I may teach you what I know.
Dooku's eyes widen at the suggestion, thinking of the powers he can possess. Revan wasn't just a brilliant general. He's also a talented politician and force user. His aid could be instrumental in turning the war. Despite their initial success, the Republic remains on the back foot for the first few weeks of the war. This is thanks to the overwhelming numbers of the CIS, but the gap only widens when Revan takes the field. He is like the god of war incarnate, leading his troops across a dozen systems, storming planets and crushing undermanned and isolated garrisons. To him, it is as if the Jedi Civil War never ended, and he's eager to take full advantage of this war. On this side is HK-47, who proves to be an equally ferocious general, leading his droid forces from the front. Dooku makes no secret of his new ally, instead proudly broadcasting his appearance across the galaxy, spreading fear to Republic soldiers. The effect of this is overwhelming, as Revan makes huge gains in his sector, with only Grievous and Dirge as his rivals. A big part of his success is his ruthless yet disciplined tactics. Instead of conscripted Sith troops, the droid army is completely replaceable, so the ancient warrior does not need to worry about their casualties. He uses their overwhelming numbers to simply overpower Republic forces. Though they suffer heavier losses, these are numbers that Revan accepts, especially since the Jedi or clones cannot afford to replace their casualties. While successful, there is a sense of dissatisfaction within himself as he regards his troops. Though efficient, the droids lack the creativity and bravery of the Sith troops he's used to. Part of him longs for the time when he was slogged in the front with his soldiers, standing shoulder to shoulder with them. In contrast, his treatment of civilians in captured worlds is surprisingly gentle. Revan has no interest in destruction or suffering. When he captures a world, he simply replaces the governor and installs a garrison. but largely leaves them unharmed. He even goes as far as to challenge any officers who breaks these rules. This makes him stand out from other CIS commanders like Grievous and Ventress, who have no problem oppressing the population. It also helps give the CIS an air of legitimacy, and some planets even surrender without a fight, as they see almost no change in their day-to-day lives, and even see some improvements. In most cases, all Revan asks is access to resources to further increase the power of his military. When he is not leading his soldiers, Revan is with Dooku. As an experienced politician, he also helps on the diplomatic front, winning over undecided systems. His presence helps maintain balance within the CIS Council and Parliament, but he also spends time training Dooku. His powers in the dark side are far beyond anything Palpatine taught him, and Revan eagerly takes the Count as his apprentice, seeing a kindred spirit who sees the failings of the Jedi. The two spend many hours discussing their experiences with the Jedi, as Revan shows Dooku how to hone his powers. But soon enough, Revan also begins to see the failings of the Sith. While he genuinely works to improve the conditions of the worlds he conquers, he sees little of that from the other commanders. Some, like Grievous, are only interested in destruction and killing their foes. They are happy to leave the captured worlds in ruins if it means accomplishing this. Rather than stopping them, the Count almost seems to encourage this behavior. He allows his leaders free rein to terrorize and destroy the captured worlds for the sake of sowing terror. It is a little better in the government, as most of Dooku's inner circle are ultra-capitalists like Newt Gunray and Wat Tambor, who wish to exploit their new conquest's resources. Rather than fix the problem, they are merely replacing one oppressor with another, a twisted inversion of what Revan wishes. But those aren't his only problems. Problems like data leaks, major defeats, and missed opportunities happen with alarming frequency for his taste. Here, Revan has HK-47 work to uncover this information. For every problem that arises, he has HK study it and review its source and problem. Soon, a pattern begins to emerge. Just as the CIS gains some tactical or strategic advantage, whether it be a new weapon, a fresh factory, or a captured Jedi, the Republic always seems to learn about it in some way and stops it. These events almost seem choreographed and planned, yet none of the generals seem to notice. They are either droids who don't care, or too obsessed with their plans. Revan becomes determined to put a stop to this, and lies in wait for the next opportunity. That comes after a few months, and from the most unlikely place, Mandalore. A local sect of Mandalorian warriors called Death Watch wishes to overthrow their new pacifist government by Duchess Satine. Dooku plans for the Republic troops to occupy the planet and turn the population against them. A sound plan, but just as always, something happens that prevents it from coming to fruition. However, instead of simply accepting defeat, Revan secretly contacts Death Watch's leader, Pre Vizsla, through HK-47 and offers to help him. He orders him and the other Mandalorians to gather whatever information they can find to challenge the government. This comes in the form of corruption by Satine's prime minister that has caused food shortages on their planet. Revan uses this along with other scandals, such as smuggling and their rocky relationship with the Republic, to challenge her authority. It only gets worse as the corruption leads to a food poisoning epidemic that turns people against Satine. Revan and Death Watch jump at the opportunity and rush onto Mandalore, claiming they are there as liberators to overthrow a corrupt government. Revan makes sure to portray this attack as a strike for freedom, claiming that Satine and the Jedi were illegally involving themselves in Concordia, which should be an autonomous region. After so many scandals, the people are eager to welcome Death Watch as liberators, and they quickly overwhelm Satine's weak police force. Soon, they are overrun across Mandalore and forcing Satine to step down. At first, Pre Vizsla becomes the new leader, but he is soon killed. And to make sure there are no retaliatory strikes, Revan has HK-47 hunt down Bo-Katan and his other lieutenants, letting Revan claim the planet as his new base. The Republic tries to send a fleet to recover the planet, but Revan reinforces it with his droid forces and crushes this effort. Palpatine is furious at this and orders Dooku to control his general, saying it threatens their plan as it may put the CIS in a powerful position.
Revan, Mandalore is not yours to hold. Your conquest may undo everything we've worked for. You must relinquish it at once.
I think not.
I have heard much about this Sith grand plan of yours, and the more I hear, the less I like. What exactly is the plan here? Wasn't it to rid the galaxy of corruption? Of the likes of Gunray, the Senate, and this farce of a government on Mandalore? And yet when we do just that, your master says it is a problem.
It is not as simple as that. We must tread carefully, for if we close the net too soon, they may slip from our grasp.
You say that, yet all I see is our enemies growing more powerful, while you allow them. It seems like we may become what we looked to destroy. Tell me, what was your plan? Was it not to destroy corruption? Yet all I see is festering in our conquest, plaguing the Republic. If we are to destroy it, then let us destroy it.
It is not enough to just destroy it. We must be the ones who replace it.
We? Or him? Because it seems as though the only one who benefits from this is Palpatine. He talks so much of this plan and reveals nothing. Perhaps it is because it does not end with either of us in it. We are fighting a war that we are not meant to win. That should be enough for you.
The Sith are the future. This plan will usher in a new era for our Republic.
For one whose eyes were opened once, you are still quite blind. It seems to me the Sith of this time are a little better than those of the past. They mistake treachery for cunning and cowardice for pragmatism. I intend to continue this war, but I will do it on my terms. I pray you do not stand in my way. I would hate to kill you.
True to his word, Revan continues his campaign. Using his army on Mandalore, he launches a fresh offensive against the Republic. The Death Watch acts as the core of his army. He fights across this entire sector. The Mandalorians are just like their ancestors of old, brutal, efficient, and savage. But with their numbers stifled by the droids, they are nearly unstoppable. Revan pushes deeper into Republic space, while also reforming Mandalore. Although he restores their warrior culture, he keeps some of Satine's reforms, and this becomes the model of his new empire. But he doesn't stop there. He also begins to gather Jedi who are tired of the Republic, adding them to his forces. Instead of simply making it a battle between the Jedi and Sith, he further blurs the lines, questioning the Jedi and Republic's legitimacy, and by extension, the Chancellor. Instead of simply occupying these planets, he begins to build them up, allowing businesses to set up shop there, especially in important industries such as food production, shipbuilding, and arms manufacturing. This is to make his fief self-sufficient. To help him with that is HK-47. The droid is sent to hunt down any corrupt officials or any group who might be a threat to him, ensuring his government remains clean. As he has no affiliation with either the corrupt Senate or the exploitative Trade Federation, people are more willing to work with him, allowing many systems to fall before him. Soon enough, his influence even begins to overshadow Dooku and the CIS Council. He then begins his next step of pushing into the core worlds themselves. Revan does not entirely sever ties with the CIS, so when Grievous begins Dirge's Lance, he contributes forces to reinforce him, while Revan leads a secondary offensive to keep the Republic occupied, and his new army soon proves itself. With HK-47 at its head, they blitz through several systems, leading battalions of renegade Jedi and Mandalorians that sabotage the defenses of these systems. They take out production, communication, and troop facilities, throwing the local forces in disarray, while the larger army arrives and mops them up. This success is repeated across many places with equal success, allowing them to keep up the offensive even as Dirge's lance starts to falter. But as his offensive seems to be failing, Grievous then plans another one. This one is meant to strike at Coruscant itself, and asks Revan for help. He's asked to tie down as many Republic forces as he can to give Grievous a clear shot. Revan agrees to this plan, placing a command on his defenses to one of his rebel Jedi as he gathers his flotilla to join the planned attack. It takes months of planning and careful organization, but soon the CIS launches an all-out attack on the core worlds, striking deep into them and landing on Coruscant itself. Grievous's fleet is bolstered by Revan's forces, and they begin their attack. Dooku observes all of this from his flagship, frowning as he considers everything that's happened. Revan's words got to him, as he saw all the effort he'd made for their war effort, winning over Jedi and other soldiers in ways Dooku or Grievous could never. They have turned against their former allies because of him. But more than that, he recalls Revan's warnings about betrayal and how Palpatine might have his agenda. All of those thoughts fill his mind as he watches the battle unfold, though it begins to feel like a noose tightening. Grievous commands the main thrust of the attack, his droid army surging forward like a relentless tide toward the Senate building. Tens of thousands of droids are committed to this attack, advancing through the hastily erected defenses on the Coruscant Guard and the Senate commandos. But all of these seem to fall in rapid succession, as Grievous sends his elite Magna Guard to carve through them. Explosions rip through the cityscape as separatist warships hammer Coruscant's surface. From the rubble, droids relentlessly march through, pouring blaster fire at the helpless defenders. Communications are desperately sent out, urging all troops to rush there to reinforce their struggling lines. Meanwhile, on the city's flank, Revan and HK-47 lead a small but no less ferocious team to secure Grievous's flank. Rebel Jedi, Mandalorians, and other organic soldiers are bolstered by his droids as he cuts through the Republic defenses. HK-47 stands at the head of this, leading an elite squad as he marks strongpoints and takes them out with chilling efficiency. Sometimes he breaks off to lead commando raids against enemy positions, calling out targets and deploying soldiers while Revan pushes deeper into Coruscant, seizing critical infrastructure to tighten their grip on the city. The early victories make it seem like they are on the verge of bringing the Republic to their knees. It helps that Grievous is causing so much chaos that most of the Coruscant defense forces are likely focusing on him. That is until a surge of Y-Wings strikes at their rearmost lines, raining fire and laser at them. Suddenly, a small fleet of gunships arrive, deploying Ki-Adi-Mundi and a vanguard of battle-hardened Jedi. Thousands of clones follow after, carving through Revan's outer defenses, cutting him off from the main separatist force. The once-coordinated assault crumbles into chaos as Revan organizes his army and tries to direct them back to face the oncoming onslaught, bringing his offense to a halt. The defenders on the verge of collapse suddenly rally and rush back to face him. From a high vantage point, Palpatine addresses the battlefield through holoprojections scattered across the city.
The Confederacy's arrogance ends today. I have sacrificed my security to crush their greatest general. Revan, the so-called savior of the CIS, will fall here, and the Republic will rise stronger than ever.
Revan watches the Republic forces close in, his jaw tightening as his troops fall one by one. He manages to rally them in a large square, HK-47 leading a rearguard action that prevents them from being wiped out. His commandos harass the CIS, while Mandalorians zoom overhead and harass their advancing foe. But this only delays the inevitable. The question on many generals' minds is, what is their plan as they rush to his command? Before he can answer, an explosion rips through his rear as the first Jedi forces close in on them. At their head is Ki-Adi-Mundi.
This ends here, Revan. Surrender and your men may yet be spared.
Mercy at the Republic. I'd rather jump into the fiery pits of Mustafar. Spare me your lies. I know what your Chancellor wants done with me.
Then you shall die here.
He motions his clones to advance, marching forward in an unbreakable line. As his forces begin to fall, Revan chuckles.
I must admit, I was outplayed. Their plan was sound. I've tried my best, but I can think of no winning strategy.
Some of the nearest Jedi hear this and rush at him, their lightsabers flashing, and a triumphant look crosses their faces as they mistake it as a surrender. But suddenly Revan's lightsaber flashes and he cuts the pair down without breaking a sweat.
Surrender? On the contrary, I'm just getting started. All soldiers of my army, hear me. If we cannot win with guile and cunning, then let strength be our weapon. My orders are simple. No soldier is allowed to fall until they've killed 10 enemies. Fight like demons, and show them why we are feared across the galaxy. If we are to die, let it be as beasts tearing through our enemy until nothing remains.
The fire in his words reignites the resolve of his troops. Mandalorians and organic soldiers roar out defiantly while Jedi raise their lightsabers in the air. Even the droids seem to move with renewed vigor as HK-47 steps forward.
Proud response. Master, those are perhaps the greatest words you've ever said. Let's kill these meatbags.
With a roar, they charge forward, smashing into the advancing Republic forces with unrelenting fury. When the clones see their opponent's eyes, they see them burning with rage, a ferocity burning across their bodies as they slam into their lines. Revan leads the charge, his lightsaber cutting a path through their ranks. HK-47, ever the opportunist, takes full advantage of the chaos, gleefully dispatching Republic troops while shouting insults that only fuel his bloodlust. The attack is so sudden that the lines buckle under their assault.
Observation. These meatbags are far less efficient when panicked. Suggestion. Continue applying pressure, Master.
Agreed. Let's go find their leader.
They find Ki-Adi-Mundi at the center of his army, directing his clones and trying to close the gaps caused by this sudden attack. When he notices Revan approaching, though, he readies his lightsaber and takes a deep breath. Suddenly, he springs forward and slashes at them. Revan parries the attack, twists, and shoves him aside to HK-47, who hurls a pair of shock grenades. He screams in pain, his lightsaber dropping from his hand, and Revan walks forward to bisect him.
Bravely fought, Master. But you aren't the one I'm looking for.
Around him, the clones are in disarray as their officers try to reorganize their forces with the fall of their general. Still, it is too late as Revan rushes back to the front. Under his and HK-47's charge, they manage to smash through. When Revan and his forces finally reach the Senate district, what they find is not the triumphant CIS forces, but complete carnage. Grievous's forces lie in ruins, their broken bodies littering the steps of the Senate building. Even Grievous himself lies motionless among the debris, his mechanical body battered and torn, sparks flickering from severed limbs. But these weren't from blaster bolts, but lightsaber attacks. As Revan surveys the carnage, a dark figure emerges from the shadows of the Senate building. Palpatine, his hood drawn low over his face.
You should have died in the trap, Revan. Your continued defiance is an insult to my designs. No matter. I will finish this myself.
Foolish as ever. Do you think you can stop me?
Without another word, the Sith Lord lunges forward, his strikes fast and precise, each one aimed to kill. But Revan is ready and meets this attack head-on, their lightsabers flashing as Revan whirls and dodges these attacks, weaving under the attack and then throwing Palpatine back with the Force. He counters and swings his lightsaber toward the Sith Lord, who flips back and throws his own Force push that sends Revan flying. HK-47 watches from the sidelines, his photoreceptors glowing with a mix of amusement and anticipation.
Observation. The wrinkled meatbag is quite spry for his advanced age. Shall I assist in his termination, Master?
Stay out of it.
Palpatine rushes backward towards Revan, but is thrown back by a sudden burst of blaster fire from HK-47.
Never take your eye off your opponent, especially HK-47.
Palpatine snarls and rushes at him again, leaping over HK's shots as the two clash once more. The Chancellor rains heavy strikes down at his opponent, but Revan is ready, sliding and dodging against each. As another blow lands, he pushes it aside and strikes Palpatine across the stomach in a backswing. He drops to one knee, and Revan closes for the kill, but the Chancellor unleashes a burst of electricity. Revan roars in pain and drops to the ground. He glares at the CIS general and rises to his feet. But before they can strike again, a shuttle billows above them, and Dooku leaps down, his expression grim as he draws his lightsaber.
Kill him, Dooku. Prove your loyalty to the Sith.
No. I see now that you are the true enemy, Sidious. Shall we put an end to his reign of terror together?
I could have done this on my own.
Palpatine's rage erupts like a storm, his power surging as he lashes out at both warriors with torrents of force lightning. Dooku and Revan dive in opposite directions, blocking the attack and then rushing forward through the storm. HK-47 follows, throwing another shock grenade, but this time he's ready and detonates in midair. He fires his sonic blaster to keep Palpatine occupied. Revan goes high, bringing his lightsaber down in a sweeping arc that forces Palpatine to dodge the attack. Meanwhile, Dooku goes low and thrusts at his feet, but he twists aside. A sonic blast throws him off balance. Revan then goes to the side, stabbing forward as he tries to right himself. This is a feint, as his hand grabs Palpatine's throat. But before he can close in on him, the Chancellor unleashes a powerful scream that throws him back. Revan drops to his knees and Dooku rushes in, slashing him across the shoulder as Revan spins and kicks Palpatine across the chest. Together the two throw him back with the Force and send him crashing against the wall. The two raise their weapons and bring them down at him.
I could have done that on my own, but I am grateful for the backup.
With Palpatine dead and them in control of the Senate building, the Republic is in turmoil and has no choice but to surrender. To their surprise, Dooku's terms are moderate. Simply allow those systems who wish to secede to do so, but he walks back some of the promises to the CIS Council and instead allows greater control over them. Meanwhile, the Jedi are to be demilitarized, and steps are taken to ensure they do not become as politicized, such as spreading their order across different paths of the galaxy once more. This places the new army in command of Revan, while Dooku leads the government. With Revan by his side, Dooku begins his original mission of reforming the government to try and address its many problems as the galaxy rebuilds.
That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.